My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we are continuing our discussion. We've got part 2 of our talk about Dragon Quest IV, Chapters of the Chosen, released for the NES back in 1992. You know, Enix and Chunsoft and all of that. I think I got it wrong. Is that Spike? I forget which one. I didn't write it down for this one, Gary. Chunsoft, there we go.
Yeah, Chunsoft. This is, we've already done some of the Chosen.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a couple more chooses to make. And then we get into the rest of the game.
Right.
So, as always, listen to the last episode. I don't know what weirdos we're talking to when we say that, who just listen to the second parts of these things. It just feels like important context. Like maybe somebody's like, hey, check out this podcast. Yeah. And they pop this up and they're like, ooh, Dragon Quest. This is just know you're walking in halfway through Return of the King or whatever.
What a weird name for a game. Part 2. Strange.
Yeah. Why did part 4, part 2? That's weird. So last episode we talked about the generalities and systems of this game, and we did the first 3 chapters meeting we had our prologue, meeting our hero, meeting Ragnar, Alina, and Turneko.
Yes. And now we turn our attention to chapter 4, Mina and Maya and the Mahabala mystery.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is a chapter about Maya, who is a dancer, and Mina, who is a fortune teller, who are setting out to solve the mystery of their father Mahabala's death.
Right.
And we start in the libertarian floating paradise, Laissez Faire, the entertainment capital of Lebecio. I don't know how to say it.
I don't know.
Lebecio.
Of all of the kingdoms, like of all of the civilizations on display in this world, this is the one that is most confusing because it is at least 5 different cultures all mashed up with each other.
I shit you not. The way I conceptualize it in my brain was people Indiana Jones fights. It's generally just non-Nazis that Indiana Jones hangs around with and gets mad at and whips.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we're in a red light district is probably the wrong way to put it. Like entertainment capital, a Vegas style place.
Vegas without sex.
Yes,
we're still in the pre-Puff Puff era of Dragon Quest.
Are we?
I think Puff Puff shows up later. Do we get a Puff Puff in this? I might have forgot about the Puff Puff or missed the Puff Puffs.
I don't think I got a Puff Puff. I know Puff Puff is present prior to this because when we talked about the slur that's present in the Mystical Ninja game, I think like one of those might have been pulled from either this or Dragon Quest 2. I didn't go seeking out the Puff Puff dancer.
I don't Google Puff Puff. I don't try to find. And I'm in full disclosure for listeners. I was at this point, like this chapter, I think is fine. After I don't like the 5th chapter of this game very much, and I was in a hurry to be done with it, and I was not doing side stuff, and I was not talking to everybody, and I just wanted it to be over. So if there was a Puff Puff dancer, I missed the Puff Puff dancer because I needed to see credits. I needed this to be over.
And what is it? I've never actually looked at what specifically it is. It's implied that the dancer puts her boobs around your head, and that's the thing.
It's kind of like a reverse motorboat.
Okay,
it's like a motorboat that drives you in the water.
In Russia, boat motors you. Yeah.
In in Dragon Quest VIII, which is the Dragon Quest I have played most completely, that's a fake out where you say you're going to get Puff Puff, and then she rubs two slimes on your ears.
Okay, that's
which is
cute.
Very cute and funny. Yeah, I mean it's cute and funny, but I think other times it's played straight and it's just putting boobs on your ears.
Okay.
But it's weird because it's from behind your head.
Oh,
which to me, like that, I don't know, that doesn't do a whole lot for me.
Oh, the blindfold she puts on you has like little slam eyes on it. That's adorable.
Yeah. It's a pretty cute bit in Dragon Quest VIII. Dragon Quest VIII is cute for sure. But yeah, it's a motor, but it's what they have instead of sex in Dragon Quest. It's what creates babies.
It's woohoo. Yeah.
Yes. Except without penetration. Like woohoo, you can do that patch and like actually see. In this one, it's just putting boobs on heads.
Yeah.
Not mouth, just ears and kind of cheek.
Yeah.
Which I'm not. Again, I've been to a strip club. That's fine. I've had that happen, but it's not.
It's incongruous in the setting. It feels. To my sense.
Grandpa, I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now, which shows full penetration. I've customized the genitals of everyone in Faerun.
I've seen every cock on the planet.
Yeah. So we start in a dance theater with Maya finishing up a show. There's a criminal named Balzac, a name that'll never not make me giggle like a little kid. It was not in the crowd here. And Balzac was Mahabala, the father's student in alchemy.
Yes. So there was a bit of there was some betrayal that happened here. They're trying to lure out the person who betrayed their dad, right? And this is a place that is more active at night. Everybody is asleep for the day when the shift ends. So you've got to kind of come back a little bit later in order to actually talk to people, go outside. This is probably not the first enemy that can summon back up, but it's the first one that I made a note of. Around this point, you start fighting lickspittles, who will just summon in ads. I'm sure there are like power leveling strategies built around this mechanic. Would make perfect sense to me, but
my lickspittle smithers. If you return at night after you do this, everyone's looking for a woman named Blondel, who was summoned to the castle. She says that she won't go. There has been a coup, and the regent is a bad man.
Yeah. I mean, it's a JRPG, so don't go. Don't trust any regents, chancellors. Yeah.
Usually deacons, but in this one, that's an inversion.
So we go and look around. We have kind of a lead about things that are going on. Remember, with Ragnar, it was children who were being kidnapped. Here we have women being pulled away. There's a town you can go to called Abode du Monde, and there's an old man. This is our hometown. Who says like, "Hey, one of your father's other students, Ujam, is hiding out in this cave to the west of here. He went missing after the murder, and people suspect him of having done it."
Yes. So we're going to head there. We go over to the Gupta Gufa. And this is actually an underground ruin with floors connected by elevators here. This is where we're going to find Ujam.
Yeah. Who basically it's just Gohan. It's just adult Gohan, except he speaks in a broken accent. Again, remember last week when we called this Punch Out but for accents. Yeah. He's next to this chest containing a nightlight. I never figured out what to use this for. It's just like a little lamp. But he says like, "Hey, I'm going to come with you because I want revenge too." He really liked Mahabala. And he comes along, becoming a non-controllable party member, but somebody who emphasizes melee. We should talk about Maya and Mina. Kind of what they are. It's interesting because they are both like hybrids, but they like one hybrids to like curative magic, and the other hybrids to attack magic. Right?
Yes. And then I thought we mentioned in the generalities, but I get them confused. Mina has the tarot card
Yes.
trade-off where you can do that. In the NES version, that was way worse. The tarot cards had even odds of doing something horrible to you.
Oh.
Now there's only one of them that does something bad. Most of them are positive. In the remake. They fixed that because like, why would you ever do it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Kind of nonsensical to me. Yeah.
Doesn't not a whole lot of thought put into that choice.
Yeah.
As a thing. But yeah, that is kind of what their classes are. And obviously, as we're going around gathering up Chosens, it's we are field testing. Like, these are the farm leagues for our final party.
Yeah.
Right? So we're getting a chance to get the highlight of what these people are like to see how they might work in our final party composition.
Yeah. And my final party was entirely the purple crew. It was the hero, Elena, and then Mina and Maya. Yeah.
Which I did too, because I wanted 2 magic users. It may be sad to have Ragnar not in there, but it was okay. Just because I liked having an old man. All these youths. But it wasn't about to not have Elena.
Right.
Elena's great. So I had a room for 2 fighters. One of the interesting things, we'll talk about this next chapter, but like while we're talking about party composition, the hero is really versatile.
Yeah.
So it is giving you some freedom as to use a party you like, because the healer can fill lots of roles. If you want to or the hero rather. So if you want to have Alina and Ragnar, the hero can concentrate on his, he gains magic and he fights. So he can use healing magic and take that place. He's not as strong as a dedicated one, but he is kind of like a bard almost.
Yeah.
Yep. So Ujam also talks in a fairly offensive kind of patois, this kind of pidgin English.
I can't tell who it's offensive to, but again, I wanted to call an authority figure and get them to stop it from happening.
Someone's kind of an adult. Balzac apparently has been selling people's souls to the devil to make himself stronger. And Ujim is looking for an object called the Sphere of Silence to seal away Balzac's magical powers.
Yeah, so they can get in and actually get some attacks in without being blown away. And the Sphere of Silence is in this dungeon. It's just located a little bit further down.
Yep. So we go to the palace. We go to Palace de Leon, in order to confront the regent. He's not there, though. He has a secret chamber we have to get into.
Yeah. And by going and talking to people, talking around, you learn that the Chancellor is really skittish. And if you could make a loud noise outside of his chamber, he will run to the hidden room where Balzac is, and we can follow him. So we got to figure out how to make that noise.
He is a dog that is also a veteran.
Yep.
In this respect, I thought this thing was very interesting, and to me it highlights something that I find frustrating about the genre. In chapter 4 is when it starts feeling like all you're doing is trading lottery tickets for lottery tickets in terms of goals.
Yeah.
The idea of making a noise to make somebody go to a panic room is something that happens in good games. Like, that is a Hitman ass thing to do.
Yeah.
What if this was an option and not just the critical path?
Right.
That'd be really cool. Like, I found out this rumor. I'm rewarded for talking to the townspeople and finding it out. I'm rewarded for the intuitive leap to get him here. And maybe when he's in his panic room, he doesn't have his guards. So I fight him either way, but I can do it an easier way if I am smart. That is not the type of game we have on display here, though.
No,
it's just, put the pieces in order. That's it. I find it frustrating because I got excited by this idea. And it's just go get another MacGuffin. Like, it's all just go get the item, here until credits. That's the rest of the game.
That's all chapter 5 is.
Chapter 5 is fucking incredible with it. It is literally just, but before we do that, we have to go do this.
The place I have to go to do that is a place that I've been before. Okay, so I can kind of see how things have been. Okay, no, like not much has changed. All right, well, let's get on with it.
Still going good. The everything's all right alarm is still going off. So there's a nearby town named Havreleon. Havreleon,
I think.
Havreleon. It's more active at night because that's kind of the zone that we're in. We go here, and if we go at night, someone in the bar reveals that Balzac is the regent.
Yes. So there's our guy. Yes. We've, so like going after one, we're going to go after the other. And the people are upset because the region has sealed off the ports, stopping these voyages to Endor. So like this port here is drying up because there's can be no actual commerce going on.
Yeah. No good. A guy in the prison here, we talked to him. He was put there because he set off gunpowder outside the Chancellor's quarters. He got the gunpowder from a mine to the west, and gunpowder is loud, so we're heading there.
Yes, it's the only loud object in the kingdom.
Yeah, you can't clap. So we had to go to the mining town, which is called Mammon.
Yeah, sounds like a nice place.
Yeah, it's extremely on the nose. And it's a mining town, so of course it's like blighted and toxic.
Yeah,
like a real mining town.
Mm-hmm. And also like the mine is completely depleted. It's all bad. It's basically coral or whatever from Final Fantasy VII. The enemies in the mine are tough, and they come in big groups, and they really love to sleep the whole party. That is that is the move here.
Yes, and there's nothing you can do about it.
No,
there isn't a sleep resistance thing. You can't spec for this. It's just a thing that will happen to you.
Yeah.
You get through it. The gunpowder is in the deepest depths of this. Not guarded by a boss. The dungeon is the boss.
Yes.
You go through and you grab the gunpowder, and we return to the palace.
Yeah, and you go there and you detonate the powder. It is very unclear. So in this remake, sometimes you can just press a button where you're supposed to go and it'll like queue up what you need to do. Other times you have to go through all the menus, go into the Dragon Quest Nightmare menu and pull it out. And you have to be standing on a particular square. Otherwise it says, maybe you should be somewhere else when you do this. Really causing...
The acoustics have to be right.
Yeah. So we go back there and we detonate the powder, then follow the Chancellor to his secret chamber where we find Balzac, and he's gloating for us, saying like, hey, your dad, he did not even know what he discovered. Discovered something called the secret of evolution.
Yes, this is the thread that's going to tie into chapter 5. This is what the big bad is using. He's got his finger in a lot of pies. He's trying to stop the Chosen One from coming after him, and he's going to use this mega evolution to turn himself into a G-virus monster.
Yes.
Balzac demonstrates the power it unlocked by turning into another demon monster.
Yeah.
So he casts a lot of spells in this, which is tough, but we have the Sphere of Silence.
Yeah.
So we can use that to kind of eliminate his edge.
Yeah. You can also sap him too. I've got a lot of use out of sap. Something else that I did, just because if the combat was going to be as simple as it was in chapter 5, when you started being able to assign tactics, I did that, Gary. I just was like, you know what? I'm tired of dialing in every single move. I'm just going to live and let live. And it was a more entertaining way to play.
It's a weird thing because it's as much of this that could be automated, the better, because it's already automated. Like you just have to, you're doing it in an algorithm. It reminds me in that way, we've done a lot of games that have experimented with automation as a JRPG cure, right? We did Phantasy Star 4, which had really deep, like programmed. You wouldn't just give them a stance.
Yeah.
You do a macro system, like do this specific thing after I hit this command. I like that system, of this era better than this version, but this version's good. And then Final Fantasy 12 again, which like a lot of the time I was just running through zones. I didn't really fight. My guys just fought.
Yeah.
I was just going to the next story bit outside of a few boss fights that were cool. And I like that version of this better too. But it's interesting that like as early as this game, they were like, how do we how do we get around this thing that we did?
How do we paint ourselves out of this corner that we painted ourselves into?
Yeah, it's Eric Andre shooting himself and being like, how could you do this to yourself? It's amazing. It's amazing shit. Chapter 5 fucking killed me. I didn't end up doing that because I was playing on super emulator speed. And then also gave myself tons of XP.
Oh yeah.
Because I needed to be done. I needed to get out of this ASAP. He's tough. Again, you beat him. A new monster appears though when he's defeated.
Yes.
You know,
it is the Marquis. It is the Marquis de Leon, who is working for Sorrow.
The Manslayer.
Yeah, Sorrow the Manslayer. We have Dragon Quest Monsters, the evil princes, Sorrow the Manslayer.
Yes.
None other. So more signs pointing toward this being the kind of the big puppet master here. He then attacks and draws us into a hopeless battle.
Yep. We wake up in a dungeon alongside the real king, who everyone thinks is dead. And he says, we can't beat his son, the Marquis, so we should flee the land and gain power. So we escape through a secret tunnel, but Ujam stays behind to fight the guards so we can escape out of the port, and we're heading to Endor, and then the chapter ends.
Yes. Taking us into Chapter 5, The Chosen, which begins like every JRPG, except this one, it's 10 hours in.
Yes, it's 10 hours in, and any of that structural stuff that you did, like there's payoff to it. It is kind of fun to gather your people.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of a precursor to Final Fantasy VI World of Ruin, right? Except worse. Because I don't like them as much. Like I didn't do as interesting a thing with them. But this idea of a series of vignettes is really cool, and then you just get a Dragon Quest game at the end of it. That kind of feels like a bummer to me. The mysteries, that we have, there's one twist in this chapter. Sorrow has a motivation that isn't like total world domination. Or it is total world domination, but it's for a reason.
Right.
That is the twist, which is kind of interesting. Everything other than that, though, is so fucking straight up the middle in this. Like, I don't know, if the whole game had been like chapters 1 through 4, I think that this would be a much stronger experience.
Agreed. Yeah.
And it's just not. It just chooses to take the easy path. So we're doing this. We're starting in the Hidden Valley, full of salad dressing. This introduction talks about this tiny little hamlet tucked away, isolated from the world. And we're about to sit down for lunch. We're back in the low stakes zone.
we're back in the meal zone.
Yeah, we're back in the intro, the prologue. Somebody runs in and is like, shit, monsters have found the town. This is the last thing we want.
Yeah. And they have a protocol. Like everybody here exists to protect you.
Yeah. Get you to the panic room. They take you to a storeroom. And your dad says that, like, hey, me and your mom are not your real parents. There's no time to explain. Again, this should be something that should be explored. But having the hero be just nothing, that should be a big thing.
The way that this kind of echoes or comes back when you get up to Zenithia is fucking hilarious to me.
Yeah. It's very funny.
But they're like, hey, no time to explain, your whole life has been a lie, and go. But the knight says, hey, you're the chosen one, but you haven't been trained fully. We were hoping this would take a little bit more time, but he gives you the big book of beasts and says you need to run as far away from here as you can.
And then one of the most hilarious, like, limp Chekhov things I've ever seen in my life, Eliza, who's your girlfriend, from the prologue, comes up and she says, I'm not going to let them murder you, and polymorphs into a duplicate of you. So the entirety of the prologue of this was just to show that she could shapeshift.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be like, damn, she could shapeshift. Whereas that could be explained. We didn't know these people. That could just be explained with, like, I'm a wizard. Having that prologue is so weird and pointless. And they added it, like, it's intentional. They added it for the remake. So, like, this needs this. Like, were players confused by this or something? Like, how can you not write yourself out of this? It's incredible shit.
I think what we're running into is the media literacy crisis is not new.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
I mean, if it was born of complaints, it feels to me like, I always wonder, because one of the things about this genre, when it's this simple, that frustrates me, is that it feels like it wants to baby you. Like, it assumes that you cannot. I could see it being a media literacy. I could also assume it being the developers not trusting the player, because there are so many other choices that read like they don't trust the player to have any kind of literacy. Like, everything has to be spelled out. Everything tells you exactly what to do, where to go. It's not, they don't, the devs do not feel like they trust me or have any confidence in me. And them just, like, remaking it to clarify the most, like, tiny minuscule little point that you could ever clarify is so weird.
Question nobody asked.
Yeah, nobody could ever ask. Like, even when I was a kid, I would have got this. You know, I'm playing a video game. Of course people can shapeshift.
Yeah.
I just fucking played Little Nemo. You feed a frog candy till it falls asleep. You crawl into its fucking guts like Genichiro's dad, and then you drive right. It's video games. Nothing matters. You don't have to explain this.
Yeah. I'm here because of the magic, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's I'm casting spells. I don't need an explanation for this. But she comes out as a duplicate of you, and you hear the fight. The monsters in sorrow take off because they've killed the hero. But really it was your girlfriend. The town is burned. They poisoned the water. The water's gotten poisoned. Everyone's gone.
Yeah.
You know, you're fucked.
Yeah. And so you're turned out into the world.
Yes.
And there is a woodcutting cabin south of here where the lumberjack there gives you some stuff to get you started. This is your biological father.
Yes. Like, it was very important that you didn't know him. They would never check the town. Or they'd never check the woodcutting cabin.
No.
So you had to be in an entire village, a conspicuous village.
Everybody knows that axes make you sterile.
Yeah, and the village is called Hidden Valley. What is your obsession with my Hidden Valley of secrets? So we explore, because that's what you do in this game. You just go and find the next town. We find Casablanca after we get some items from our real dad. This is a castle town that's just south of this valley. And we run into this party seeking to kill the monster leader. And they ask if I want to join, but they're full up.
Fun little interface gag.
Yeah, clever little interface game that happens all the time in video games.
Yeah. The townspeople here talk about the other characters, like they have built up their own reputations before you set out. You know, monsters are hunting down Torneko for finishing this tunnel. They didn't want him to do that. And Maya and Mina, they have become real popular over in Endor.
Yeah, they're thriving.
Yeah.
The king charges you with finding information about the coming return of the evil underworld lord that is rising up. Yes. Sure. I'll do it.
Okay.
You're the boss.
Seems like something a chosen one would do.
Yeah. I guess I'm the chosen one. So we go to the channel, Torneko's channel, dreadful euphemism. And when we pass through, there's fanfare and confetti because you are the 1,000th person to use the tunnel. So you get some casino tokens. They really want you to go use that casino.
They do. I could see that being a novelty back in the day. Like you would buy whole games that had slot machines, and sometimes apparently that was enough for people.
I don't think we talked about it very much last episode, if at all. The casino. This is the first game in the Dragon Quest. That's a Dragon Quest tradition.
Yes.
I think this is the first one with it. It is a way to jump power curves.
Yes.
You can gamble. You know, it is purely luck based, but if you win, you get tokens and you exchange them for very powerful items. In the NES version, there was a metal slime shield, I want to say, or a liquid metal shield that made nothing be able to hurt you. Like you took 1 or 2 damage from everything for the whole game. So it basically was just saying, here's another way to grind to obviate the game.
Yeah.
You know, you can drive for money, then grind for tokens. If you win enough, you can make all your characters invincible.
Yeah.
They debuff that. It's no longer that shield that you get now. You get another item as kind of the big ticket item, and it's just a strong sword, if I recall. I did not spend very much time doing the slot machines. I don't do those in real life.
No. I played a couple of hands of poker, but it's just, 5 card stud. I don't care for that. Don't care for that.
It's cute that it's there.
Yes.
I don't like the variant at all, but I do think it's cute that it's here. And that would have been, even when I played this when I was a kid, I thought it was neat. So credit where it's due. It is cool to have this proto golden saucer kind of thing.
Yeah. It reminds me of when I was a little kid and playing Pokemon Red, and I was over at my dad's or whatever, and I really wanted that Porygon that you could get in that one town, right? But
can I get the worst Pokemon that exists?
I wanted it. Yeah, it's right there in it's the tagline. But I didn't want to play the slot machines because slot machines bore me. My dad fucking loves slot machines, so I was like, hey dad, do you want to play some slots? Like hell yeah! Like he had like individual just handheld Tiger LCD slots.
Yeah. My mom did too. My mom did, and then she had a bunch of apps when she got a smartphone, which was fairly late in her life. And then on Facebook would play them, and then I would get little invites that would be like, you've been invited to join Cleopatra's parlor. Take 100 million free gems or whatever. And I was like, at some point I was like, Mom, I'm not going to do these things. You got to stop inviting me. And she's like, well, no, I just invited you because it gave me stuff if I invited somebody. And I was like, okay, in that case, just do it. It's fine. Yeah, it's very cute.
That is very cute. Yeah.
I love it when slot machine apps are like, if you sign up now, you get, 10 billion Stanley nickels. Like,
God, it's fucking evil. It's hilarious, but yeah.
Very proud of my wife for never having gambled before. And when we went to Vegas, we both took $10 and did some gambling. And she did twice, and she's like, "This sucks." And then we went and cashed in our money. like it's just like this doesn't work. You don't get anything.
No,
And we just stopped. Yeah.
So, but that they really want you to use that. So you won this little contest. We go to Endor. And everybody in town is preoccupied with this royal wedding that Torneko arranged. This is happening
kind of cool
in the Coliseum.
To see the fallout of that, right? Like, it's kind of neat that like time has passed. It does make it feel like a world.
Yes.
We are putting blocks in a prescribed order, but the earlier blocks sometimes do affect the later blocks. There's causality.
Mm-hmm.
Object permanence and causality are the level we're at. So we find Mina there. She's reading palms on the street, and she reads your palm and recognizes you're the chosen one.
Yes. Saying we've been looking for you since so long ago. The accents spill over into the party members. It is very strange to hear them speak because they generally don't in their chapters. So that's what you sound like.
It would probably be a thing with that party talk feature if I was able to keep up with the iPhone version.
Yeah.
She says that she and her sister are going to join you because they're also, going to help you. And there are others whose fates are linked together. We go and find Maya gambling their money away on the slot machines of the casino, but she joins us, which is great.
She's a slot jockey.
She is a slot jockey, Gamblor. She's fighting Gamblor, the end boss of her individual quest.
Yeah.
You grab her from his neon claws.
Yeah. And she joins us. Mina says, "Hey, I have heard that we should find something of significance if we travel east."
This chapter has so many like the dreams and just people being like, "What if we try this direction?"
Yeah,
like they are really, really gasping for ways to. Yeah. They know the block order, but they have nothing to motivate you to go to block to block.
No,
so they just have like characters just tell you to do it.
Well, I mean, either they tell you to do it, or it's left to you to discern because the only way forward is forward in a lot of these. Yeah.
It's weird. It's like a Hot Wheels track that is an adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do that. We go to the Last Chance Saloon, the small outpost east of Casablanca at the northern tip of this huge desert. And this is where we meet one of the weirdest characters in the game, Hank Hoffman Jr.
I'm never not going to say his full name. Hank Hoffman Jr.
He gets a full name. It's very Lisa. Hank Hoffman Jr., who will not lend us his wagon. But he tells us about his friend that left him for dead in a nearby cave when they were looking for a legendary treasure. And we get distracted by a bird constantly in this game. Like anything anyone says, we have to go do.
Yeah.
So of course we're going to go to the cave.
You don't have to take a job just because the opportunity came up.
Because somebody said it. Somebody said it out loud, so I felt compelled to do it.
Yeah. In a way, we're very different people. Yeah. So we go to Concave, and this is there's a little bit of mechanics to this, but like this is a dungeon built around like a few scenes where this cave is trying to deceive you. Like a trapdoor separates you from Mina and Maya right away. And you go on alone looking for them, running into a bunch of copies of them who pretend to be them before turning into monsters to attack you.
Yes. And, so that's kind of neat. We eventually run into the real ones. We have to identify which sister was the one, the gambler. Endor, that's the riddle, to say something that only I would know. Kind of thing. We get together and we walk to find the treasure, which is this jewel called the Symbol of Faith. Hank Hoffman Jr. puts it together that the cave was testing his trust in people and he failed. So he's learned his lesson and he'll trust us and come along with his wagon.
Jumping to a lot of conclusions about a rock.
Yes, Hank Hoffman Jr. was really like trying to convince himself. He's searching for a reason to do this anyway.
Yep. Yeah. So now we have the wagon and we can cross the desert, which is just walking over that section of the overworld. We can go to a little place called Bath, where the guy near the entrance will give us a tour of this little desert town with the hot springs. And talks about like, hey, our church contains some supposedly legendary armor. I never followed up on this. I thought I would end up coming back and, when you had to assemble the Zenithian gear. I don't think you have to.
Yeah.
What I do like though is the tour ends at his inn, which is this is the only town that has 2 inns. His is the more expensive one.
Yeah, he's a hustler.
Yeah,
cute. I don't know why you'd have a hot springs in a desert.
Yeah,
it's
See, full up on hot today. Yeah.
It's just I'm dehydrated enough, thanks. So we go towards the southern coast to a town whose name I hate, which is Porthtrunel.
Yeah.
I hate saying Porthtrunel and I hated reading it.
Yeah.
And the port of Porth, or like Port Huthrunel, because it's a port town. I don't know, Port Huthrunel. The port is closed because of the nearby lighthouse. Ordinarily, this beacon is lit with a magical good fire, but it's replaced by an evil fire that leads ships to its doom. And someone said it out loud, so we got to do it.
Yeah. We've got to go turn off the dark.
we do go turn off the dark. People here know about Torneco. He's a legendary trader. His new ship is landlocked because of the evil Dark Flame.
Yes. So we go to this Pharaoh's Beacon, this lighthouse nearby, and we find Torneco. He tried to relight the fire, but because he's not a combat man, he got chased out of here. The monsters were too tough. So he asked if we can do it for him and do it for him instead.
Yeah. So we do so. We need to find the embers of the holy fire and take them to the top. There's nothing really crazy with or new with the enemies here. We do have metal slimes that show up, so you can do that slot machine if you like.
Yeah, we should say what metal slimes are, because like that is a shorthand for a particular kind of enemy. But since we're talking about the series where it comes from, metal slimes. These are little silver guys who will appear, and they have very high evasion and they run away very quickly. But if you can manage to get it hidden, they will die, and you will get a ton of experience.
Well, sometimes you won't do any damage to them.
Yeah.
Like you want to crit them.
Yeah.
To do this. There are whole guides out there for metal slime farming, to do this. And these are from old school Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest 1, which is a simple game, it's like 16 hours, has these and gold golems. So they had ways to jump the grind a little bit, like move yourself 2 spaces ahead on the board. My buddy in the Slack, they brought up the point that this is such a worse version of the Cactar.
Oh yeah.
Which is also a metal slime, but the Cactar is much more interesting because it'll fuck you up.
Oh god, yeah.
Like sometimes it runs away and then sometimes it will one-shot you. So there's actually like a risk reward to the Cactar. Metal slimes, when I said, this is another way you can do a slot machine, that's really what it feels like.
Yeah.
Unless you specifically spec for it, you're always going to go for it. But I don't know. There's just a percentage chance to miss and then nothing happens.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
How great is a Cactar?
Well, it's also a great design. Like the slime itself is a great design, but like making it metal isn't that impressive to me. The Cactar is wonderful. Yeah, I love that he's almost a swastika. That's not what I like about him. I just said that like I love it. That part of him. It's just kind of that plausibly deniable little man running. Drawing is very cute to me.
I think I've got no idea. I can't remember which one's the manji and which one's the swastika. So I do not know which one I know it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I know. I just put my stake in the sand there before somebody seriously says it at me.
No.
But yeah, that's great. I have a couple Final Fantasy monster plushes, and that's one of them.
Yeah, I just did a search on Etsy, and somebody's selling a neon sign or a neon-like sign of a Cactar.
Nice,
and that looks rad as hell.
They're all good. I've also got a tiny little stuffed Tonberry, and he's great.
Oh man, I love those little guys, little dingleberry.
The bestiary is the best part of any of these games.
Oh yeah,
it's like unassailable. The soundtracks in the bestiaries stand up, and almost nothing else does. But the bestiaries are still really good.
Yep. So we have metal slimes about. They don't really affect too much other than you want to take a shot at them. We do run into a cute little scene. There's a little demon. All of the mini demons speak with fun little lisps, and they're waiting to ambush Torneco. He's holding a grudge against Torneko because of what he did. But since Torneko isn't here, he's not going to bother trying to fight us. So he casts Zoom to try and leave, but instead knocks his head on the ceiling.
Yeah, you can't do that indoors.
Yeah.
Bonks himself.
Yeah.
Once we get past him, the boss is Tiger Graham and 2 flamethrowers.
Mm-hmm.
No real special tactics here. There's tough monsters. Like Tiger Graham hits hard. The flamethrowers will hit everyone.
Yeah. And this is basically what we're going to get, like, for all of the tough boss encounters from this point forward. Not with ads, right? But, like, every tough monster that we're going to fight is going to be, okay, we get multiple actions on a turn. And I'm going to alternate between doing kill shots on individual people in your party and then attacking all with some kind of magic. It's kind of the only trick that they have.
Yep. Yeah. So we eventually kill the Tiger Graham. We return to Torneko in town. He says, hey, can I travel with you to protect me from the monsters? There's a bunch of monsters after me. And we say, the more the merrier. You seem chosen. Mm-hmm. We sail out, and he says, hey, you should head south to Mintos. There's a great cartographer that has a map of the world. So we're heading to the Freshmaker.
Yeah. We arrive in Mintos, and Hank Hoffman Jr. decides to leave the party. He wants to follow in Hank Hoffman Sr.'s footsteps and open up an inn.
Yeah. And for me, this is when Dragon Quest IV ended. I couldn't handle moving on without Hank Hoffman Jr.
Yeah. I really want to have him go establish his life, give birth, just to become the father to little Hank Hoffman the third.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Hank Hoffman the 4th or 5th, like, let's keep it going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, we can do the generations of, heroes or whatever, but with just Hank Hoffman.
Yeah.
If anyone's if you're searching for a quirky RPG Maker remake side story, Hank Hoffman Tales Jr. is your hook.
That's the way to go. Yeah. He goes off and establishes a town. We're going to run into him later. This was not present in the original. This is actually something that was reintroduced in the PS. It was introduced in the PlayStation version after it was mechanic used in Dragon Quest VII. This immigrant town where you can, like, send people who do not have homes to go and set up at this town. So kind of doing like a miniature ActRaiser thing, but with no actual or a Dark Cloud thing, but with no real decision making or input.
Yeah, you can just send them there. It's a place to send them. He wants to go do this here because it's the home of Conrad Hilton, the god of trade, or Ilton, the god of trade. Conrad is an old man lecturing and quizzing people on business at the center of town. He's one of those business school guys.
Profit equals revenue minus cost.
He asks what the most important thing in business is, and our silent protagonist's silence impresses him. So he gives you a treasure map. The most important thing is is shutting up and listening to teacher, I guess.
Yep. He gives us a treasure map which points to a place that we cannot get to. This is going to end up being like the home of the elves, the world tree or whatever, that we're going to spend the entire game trying to get to. We hear about the sick priest when we're walking around town, and how this princess went to the Empire of Parthenia to try and get some of their healing crops for them. And based on the descriptions, we have a hunch it is indeed Kirill. And Boria is there saying, like, hey, Elena went away for a while. She's been gone. Can you help me go and make sure she's okay and get this medicine for Kirill?
Yeah, go get the crop.
Yeah.
So we head to the Empire of Parthenia, which is kind of Polynesian themed. And this place has fallen on hard times because of the failure of the fever few crops.
Yes.
Which is their fever curing wonder drug.
Right. So the Emperor says, hey, even though this has gone mostly extinct, we do have some seeds in this place called the Parthenian Pantry, this frozen cave to the south. And that's the direction that Elena headed. Yep.
So we're going to go. We head there. We arrive at the icy cave just in time to see Elena kick down the door and go inside with her group. Elena, best girl. Yep. The dungeon has these arrow tiles that send you in the intended direction.
Yeah.
Intended. So you have to trace out the path ahead of time. If you just try to walk forward, you get shunted.
Yeah.
Here.
And we meet Elena and her party down one floor. She dismisses us, saying like, "Hey, our party, the people I'm with are stronger," and then continues walking in a circle. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. These tiles, these arrow tiles, are going to come back pretty much in every dungeon after this.
Yes.
It feels real, like NES era dungeon gimmick kind of thing to me.
It is, and it kind of violates one of my frustrations of like mixing random encounters or fighting with anything that requires puzzling.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's me or if that's actually a problem. I just get, I'm planning this thing out and then I get interrupted.
Yeah, interruptions suck.
Yeah, that feeling of, and this is not limited to console RPGs.
No,
this was a thing that happened. This was a big complaint I had with Soul Reaver, if I recall, trying to do block pushing puzzles while like little gremlins and shit would come attack you.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck off, man. I'm doing a puzzle. Like, I don't always want modal, gameplay like that. But like, I don't know, a non-additive thing that is just meant to be an irritant is never going to rise above an irritant.
Yeah.
The intent is to be an irritant. So success is not good. It's not a positive to succeed at that.
Yeah.
I run to our first mimic here. These are called canna boxes here, which is like a dispensary name if I've ever heard one. They're just mimics. Yeah. But the Dragon Quest mimic design is great because the monster designs are good.
Yeah. So we get to the feverfew seeds in the center of this huge field of tiles, and we return to Parthenia. It's amazing that this crop ever went away because it grows instantly.
Yeah. Well, what happened, guys?
Yeah.
They mowed it on accident.
How'd you fuck this up?
They were trying to kill a bunny burrow and they mowed it on accident. There's a whole tragic backstory to this.
Yeah. But they grow immediately. Like all of the fields explode in this stuff after one seed is planted.
It's the Gek.
How is this not, how is this not completely ruined the entire world?
Yeah, the ecosystem, this kudzu.
Yeah. So we take the route to Kirill, and then he, Elena, and Boria join the party because they remember they returned to their home kingdom and it was empty. They know that Sorrow had something to do with it.
Yeah. So now everybody who wants to get Sorrow, we've got our crew.
But we need Ragnar.
We almost have our crew. We get Ragnar. I forgot about Ragnar because I couldn't use him. Breaks my heart.
Yeah.
A woman at the inn overheard us talking and said, "Hey, Ragnar was here looking for a hero." But then he headed way back to place de Leon on the Western continent. So we got to go there.
Yeah. And so we make our way over and we find Healy, who has inexplicably managed to turn into a real boy.
Yeah. If only he would share this secret. It feels like also we're in the part where we're ignoring things that would be absolute world-changing events.
Yep.
In this world. Like, oh shit, they can just turn into people?
Okay.
Yeah.
Raises lots of questions. He still has the slime affectation of always making goo puns. Goo, slime, ooze, things of that nature.
Yes. Of course he does. He asks us to help Ragnar. He's being held captive inside the castle. We need the magic key to get inside the castle because fuck me. His old goo friend who lives underground in about Dimond knows where the key is. So we're just on like a whirlwind tour of everywhere we've been.
Yes.
You know? We go there. The slime is in Mina and Myra's basement, a dreadful euphemism, where their dad's lab used to be.
Right. And the slime says, "Hey, your dad, this alchemist, this wasn't the only lab that he had. There's another one in this cave to the far west. That is where the magical key is." So we literally go and do another round at this the dungeon we just did, the Gupta Gufa, but this time inspecting inside of a treasure chest that we opened, finding a switch, and then opening up the staircase to get to the actual lab.
Yes. On further inspection, they appear to be loafers. We get the key. We go back to the palace. We see Ragnar fighting off the guards near the secret throne room. He recognizes us as the hero. His hero dar goes off and keeps everyone busy so we can fight the Marquis.
Yeah. And, so the Marquis says, "Hey, Sorrow gave me dominion over this land. And the enchantment from the Sphere of Silence is worn off. So get ready for some, pain." And I love that he just says this, "Quel dommage."
Yeah, it's cute. Yeah.
And we have a boss fight. This one's pretty tough. Yeah.
Yep. He goes last. He's slow speed, but he moves twice, usually. And he has a spell that hits everyone. and a very strong physical attack, which is Dragon Quest IV boss fight.text. It's just the numbers are a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he is tough.
Yeah.
When he dies, Prince Leon appears in his place. He remembers it like a dream. Like he was speaking a foreign language. He was under a monster curse.
Yeah.
And we talked to the Chancellor afterwards. He claims the Marquis forced him into being evil.
A likely story.
Yeah. I didn't want to do it, honestly. It was the one-armed man. So to make amends, he says, listen, Balzac has taken up residence in Zamoskva, which is Alina's homeland, because we're just literally on a tour.
Yeah. You just trace back through your steps.
Yeah. Do you remember these areas? Did you like them? I hope so.
So we head back up there. This is all overland travel too, you know. Mm-hmm. So we've got to go up there and just walk the entire way. Eventually, we're going to get a boat here. But we go to Zelenagrad, the town outside of the castle, and we have this old seer who is actually the Tsar's dad. So this is Elena's grandfather, saying, "Hey." Yeah, the Tsar, when he was young, he had this vision, and he wrote on the sign behind the church, and you go read it, and it says, "To my daughter of the future," and talks about this castle in the sky called Zenithia, where the dragon god resides. The people of Camelot to the north know more about Zenithia, and then he went on his way, and nobody took this sign down, and it was never used as scandal to force him out of office.
Nope, it's real, and it also it feels late to be. I mean, there was a hint of Zenithia earlier. Mm-hmm. It feels late in the game to be introducing dragon gods and Zenithia to me.
Yeah,
the plot, I think, in addition to being like it's simultaneously a little too simple and too complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like okay. I mean, I just had a very weary sigh of exhaustion of being like, okay, now I have to go to the Zenithia.
Yeah.
We go to the castle, which last time we went there was abandoned. Now it is overrun with monsters.
Yeah. This monster doesn't fight any different than the other dogs, but I just like the name. The Abracadabradors.
Yeah, that's very cute.
A magic dog. It's a very good. The pun game is on point.
That's very
and we find Balzac. And he's bigger and badder now, and he has changed the name of his spelling. Now it's Balzac with 2 A's, like Ball the Demon. Very cute. Demon. Yes. And it's basically the same fight as the Marquis.
Yes. It's the cuteness is sometimes here, but we're just doing the fights. He's not as slow. When he dies, a mini demon says that he's got to report to Sorrow that the experiment in the secret of evolution has failed. It actually does require the armlet of transmutation.
Yeah. So, okay.
Okay, we know that sounds like something we'll deal with later. Well, the last name we heard was Camelot, so let's go there. Mm-hmm. This is a water city that's built on canals, and we need to get around on a raft. We run into there's a guy courting a woman by singing to her. It's obviously Venice.
Yes, he gets very indignant that we interrupted his courting.
Yes.
And we talked to the king, who has this appeal out, is called to everybody in the land. I will give you a great treasure if you're able to make me laugh. Times have been so hard that he just wants to crack a smile. And he can't do it. Doesn't you say the first joke that comes to your head, and nothing comes out. But people around are saying, "Hey, there's this great comic named Tomfoolery who can."
Yes,
and he lives in this small town.
Yeah, so we had to go find this comic there. He doesn't want the treasure. He didn't hear about this and decided to get the treasure. We just had to go fetch him.
Yeah.
People in the castle talk about how you need all the Zenithian equipment in order to reach the castle in the sky. The helmet is part of the Camelot Royal Collection. The shield is in Berland.
Yeah.
And Tomfoolery is down in the libertarian capital of Laissez Faire. Mm-hmm. And we go, we're like, "Hey, we come with us." He goes, "Okay."
He got nothing going on.
I don't know. I'm just an item. Use me.
Mm-hmm.
You take him to the king, and instead of telling a joke, he asks for the helmet.
Yeah.
He's saying, like, if you give these people the helmet, they can actually make the kingdom better, and then regular jokes will make you laugh. You don't need the great ones from me, tomfoolery.
This is a terrible comic.
It's not funny.
No,
I'll tell you that much.
He's just up there making good points. Like, what's this Bill Hicks ass shit? Come on.
It's exactly that. It's like Kyle Kinane has a bit about that where he's like, what happened to comedy now where people don't come out and jokes? They just come out and say jokes. They just say a bunch of stuff you agree with. And they're like, hey, man, I saw Kyle last night. How was he? He's like, oh, man, I agreed with most of what he said. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. So we get the helmet, the first of our...
Bill Hicks didn't talk enough about helmets.
Nope.
He would be different. It would be a very different world if Bill Hicks was like, now helmets, see, and like smoking and pacing back and forth.
Yeah, and then he called that woman the C word. Yeah.
That's
the way it goes. Yeah. So we have the first part of our many piece suit of MacGuffins that we're going to take. All of this is gear. It's very good gear you can give to the hero. But we can now we have the other lead go to Strathbale, the small town outside of Berlin, where Ragnar found the missing kids for. People here, they talk about how they're having identical dreams when they stay at the inn. So you go and sleep there. Good.
Yeah. Cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone having the same dream. That's
but you go and sleep there, and you get a dream of Sorrow visiting this woman named Rose in a castle. Like he stands on this like little insignia outside the tower and plays a flute, and then gets inside. And he's up there. You think it's going to be this big romantic speech, but instead he says, I have discovered the secret of evolution and I will use it to destroy all of mankind, my dear. And she weeps and tells him not to do it. And then he goes.
Yeah. What we have here, which again, I will give this credit for not just being a Dark Lord. I think in Dragon Quest 1, it's literally the Dark Lord or whatever. This is a twisted romance. This is him, we've been so rejected by society, let's kill them all. And she's like, that fucking sucks. And he's like, no, it doesn't. And that's the level we're at. There is 1 degree of complexity, which I want to give it credit for.
Yeah. Progress by inches.
Yeah. It is an inch. So Sorrow leaves there. We wake up. We go to Berlin Castle. The King of Berlin is waiting for us with news. His grandfather gave the Zenithian shield to the Queen of Themyscira.
Themyscira. It's like the Wonder Woman island Themyscira, but Themyscira.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, Themyscira out beyond a volcano. So we had to head to Themyscira.
Yeah. The path is blocked by this huge rock. Since we got the magic key, we can get into all of these treasure chambers in the castles we have been to so far. The one back in Zamovska has a magma staff, which we need to use in front of this big rock to cause an eruption, killing millions.
Yes. Killing millions. I mean, there's only like 90 people in the world.
Oh yeah.
It's this is why actually the last hero did this, and caused the Children of Men situation in this whole zone.
Yeah. So we do erupt this and blow this out of the way, and get to Themyscira, the all-female kingdom. And of course, we have to have a pervy guy waiting outside, spying, saying, "Well, there are only women's toilets inside, so what's a man to do?"
That is a very specific thing for him to say too. Like, it's not that there aren't women elsewhere. There's just towns with a half women all around, man. Like the idea of the idea of being in an all fantasy women kingdom, just full of their toilets. Like, I kind of get it, I guess.
But also, like, why not say changing room? Why does this fucker gotta say toilets in this children's game that's rated T for teen?
It does make it like weirdly gross.
Yeah.
He's this is, if this were a more modern game, he would certainly polymorph into a toilet. There's like this character wants nothing more than to take just like absolutely take the amber slurp upon his chin. But but also again, just like it's out by this volcano, like the least convenient place to peep on people pissing. Like it's incredible. What is a man to do? This is actually was originally the log line for Planescape Torment. Well, there's only women's toilets inside. What's a man to do? That is the question, Joe, the nameless one. So we go inside to explore the toilets, and a poet tricks us into looking into a dresser while he flees the room, and we get framed. We've stolen a nun's prized rosary. I don't know that nuns have rosaries they like more than other ones, but okay.
This actually, like, if you talk to her before, she says like, "Oh, it's my prized possession. They gave me this, this bronze rosary that I treasure, and this is the thing that the guy stole, and we got framed for."
I didn't talk to her beforehand. I was just like the idea. I thought rosaries were pretty interchangeable, but maybe there are special rosaries.
I could see one. I could see a special rosary. Yeah.
It seems non-religious to me to have a prized,
seems
more
kind of
valuable
fancy.
than
It's
another one.
very Mennonite of you.
Yeah, it is very. Well, it's a very prosperity gospel of this character to have a fancy one. Religion should be simple. So you tell the queen you're innocent, and you're given a chance to go find the real culprit, and you have to leave a random party member behind.
Yeah. Bye, Torneco.
Yeah, Torneco gets to hang out. And I'm spoiled for choice for people to leave behind because I'm not going to use everybody.
No, because the game doesn't require that.
It doesn't allow it. So someone in the kitchen mentions a nearby cave where the thief might have run off to. Okay, detective, detective chef. let's go to Cove's Cove. This little maze cave.
Yeah,
lots of stairs, lots of raised portions. Real mazy.
Yeah, it's kind of laid out. We have reached the level of complexity that Mist Cave was with from Final Fantasy IV with the little raised plateaus that you go up and down. The poet is actually this bandit named Kirk Buzzer, Private Eye.
Formerly an American Gladiator.
He was trying to steal the Zenithian shield, but couldn't find it, and used us to get out. And this is a tough fight because he loves buffing up his defense.
He's a fucking metapod.
Yeah.
So we have to debuff it if we want to keep up with it. Yeah. At least it's a concept. It's not very interesting. After we beat him, we come back. The reward for catching the thief is the ultimate key, which and we can use this and free our party member and get the Zenithian shield.
Right.
And of course, we're just going down the blocks. So she mentions a kingdom of Rosehill to the south that was overtaken by monsters. That might be a place to go.
Maybe.
And that's a thing. And I'm like, oh, I've heard of that. I should go there. So you do.
Why not?
And what else are you going to
do? Just south of this, you will run into a tiny little castle on an island, King Minikin's Dominion. Those little medals that you have found all over the place, these collectibles, this is where you turn them in. King Minikin will trade your mini medals for unique gear.
Yes. A kind of a version of the casino with less chance and more exploration, like a better version of the casino.
Yeah.
Basically. A guy in the basement talks about his quest for the Zenithian armor. He hopes a nearby cave holds a clue. Yeah. And it's like, okay, detective, I'll do that too.
So many of these NPCs could just be replaced with one of those signs at the center of a crossroad that shows like where the nearest caves are and how far they are.
I would basically say every NPC could be replaced with that. Even a sign that just says women's toilets inside yum yum. You could just, all of these could just be signs.
Yeah. It's just, have you thought about exploring? Have you thought about hey, maybe there's a cave? They wouldn't have designed that if it wasn't for a reason.
These people who have vested interest to go to these places are just waiting for you to come along and do it.
Yeah, scoop them.
This person wants to get the Zenithian armor and is like, I think it might be here. I'd go, but I have to stand here.
Yeah.
I got a busy day ahead of me. I don't know. I'm returning videos.
But yeah, this directs you to a kind of an underwater cave kind of thing. You take your boat into it, then navigate the simple maze on a raft to get the Zenithian armor. Super easy. I don't know if I appreciate it, but the fact that there are so many dungeons where you go and get the thing and there's basically no resistance, there's no boss, there's no anything. It's just, okay, there you are. Feels very old fashioned to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I were choosing, I would want I appreciate it because it's not just, de rigueur. Like, I don't think it's good. It's replacing something bad with something nothing.
Yeah.
I always want something bad to be replaced with something good.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't do that, it's inarguable, that it's like harm reduction. It's like voting for harm reduction.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen what they put. I've seen the fights that they deploy to guard things that matter, and
yes.
It does not strike me as does not strike me that there being more of them would be very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to hand it to them because I think that, it's a failure of imagination. Like they could do something interesting with the space. Yeah. Why add the space if you're not going to do something interesting with it? And that is a big question for the entire game.
Yes.
I feel like. So we get the armor. Hooray. There's a town nearby called Rose Hill where we go. This is where dwarves, monsters, and intelligent animals all hang out. They take refuge from humans. This is where we're going to get our Sorrow backstory a little bit.
Yes.
And start getting a little bit of that. This was built by Sorrow, the town builder.
Yeah. Built for and around this elf woman named Rose. Who we know from that dream, who sent that dream, begging for help, basically. She is somebody who is cursed. So whenever she cries, her tears turn into rubies. And that means that humankind is basically hunting her and persecuting her. And the town is built up to protect her. And you find out later, like when she cries, like the rubies fall into your hand and they immediately turn to dust. Like people are going after her because of these rubies that they cannot take.
Yes. I believe, if I recall, and this is me using kid memories, so I don't know, but the NES translation, instead of making it sound like their tears turn into rubies, it made it sound like they were rubies.
Oh,
and
God.
As a kid, the idea of her squeezing rubies out of her tear ducts just was really stuck in my head.
howling in pain. That's like something from Blasphemous.
Yeah. Just it is very blasphemous. Just constantly giving birth through your face.
Yeah.
Squeezing something the size of an almond out of a hole the size of a sunflower seed nonstop. Rough stuff. They clarify it here.
Yes.
Which is good.
So to talk to Rose, you have to recreate the dream in Strathbale.
Yes.
Another one of the treasure room treasures was this flute of revelation. And you go use it and you play the song perfectly that Sorrow played. Opening up the secret passage. Yeah.
Can you imagine how bad it would feel if you forgot to pick up one of these things?
Oh, it'd be terrible.
Like you just didn't go into the room because nothing told you. There wasn't a thing really. It's just like, okay, well, go back.
Yep.
That would be bad. But yeah, you do it. You replay it there, and this opens a secret passage to Rose's chambers, where Sir Rose Garden. I think that's cute.
Yeah.
It looks like something that'd be on the back of a biker t-shirt. Like I'm always Rose Garden, wink, attacks you. This is a boss enemy.
Hey Gary, can we dissect that? What's the wink?
Wait, not like a sex wink, like working hard, hardly working.
Oh,
kind of like I'm always Rose Garden. If you need me, I'm Rose Garden.
Why is it a biker?
I don't know. I don't know why I said biker shirt. I was trying to imagine the shirt, and the first thing that popped up in my head was a biker.
Oh, you're picturing it like in a biker font. Yeah,
exactly. Like I just. It happened real quick, man. I don't like I'm
just stunned. The community is rocked.
I'm gonna take some time to discuss it with my family and my church, and we'll see. But yeah, it just popped in my head. It's weird. Thank you for calling me out on that because it didn't make a lot of sense.
I just wanted to know what you're stabbing at. I seek to understand. Okay.
No, it's good because it did not make a lot of sense. But I was thinking of it in a biker font, and that was the impetus. It's not good, but that was what I was thinking of.
Okay, like one of those Facebook ones, like I am a Scorpio who loves tear rubies.
And if you find me on Tuesdays, I'll be Rose Garden, but every other day of the week, I'll be Rose Garden.
Yeah,
if you touch my daughter, they'll never find the body.
Yeah.
Here are 10 things that.
Yeah.
If my new favorite variant of those are the ones that are like. For tradespeople, where it's like, electrician rates, $40 per hour. If you hang out while I do it, $80 per hour. If you say if you try it yourself, $200 per hour. And like the idea is just leave me alone. I'm a tech guy. But I saw one of those for mowing lawns. And so, like, if you tell me how to do it, or if you help, or if you did it yourself, I'm gonna be so fucking pissed. Like,
I will extort you. I will ruin your children's future.
Yeah, don't you dare get in the way between me and grass. So he primarily summons help. That is his boss gimmick.
Yes. Yeah. He rallies his troops.
Yep.
But we kill him. Presumably he was a beloved member of this family, but nobody makes nobody says a word. There's a slime here that says, he's always guarding. But there's a slime here that says, hey, there's this thing called the Mod Rod in the Royal Crypt that will get you into a meeting place with the most important monsters, the Diabolic Hall.
Yes. And Rose, we talked to Rose. Rose doesn't give us any new information. She begs for help. She says, hey, stop Sorrow. Like, he used to be my boyfriend, but boy, does he really want to kill everyone. I don't like that. It's cool.
Yeah, probably.
There's in the version we played in the optional post content chapter. There is more Rose stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. You could not pay me to do it. So we go to the Royal Crypt. The entrance is a small shrine southwest of Endor. This is another arrow tile maze, but it's bigger.
Yep.
You go through it, and to get the Mod Rod, it's located at the end, which has a nice little fast track back to the exit, which I appreciate, but it does make me wonder why that hasn't just become, why there aren't more of those, or why any dungeons happened after this without them.
Yeah. You have demonstrated that you understand.
Yeah, you know how to do this. It's similar to how I felt after Earthbound, where I was like, why didn't every innovation of this just become, standard? Because these are good ideas that make these games better.
The real answer is boring. They just expect that you're going to use evac. Like, it's one of the first spells that your hero gets.
Well, in this game, but I mean, I guess I'm speaking more for the genre.
Oh yeah,
like they figured out that trick. Yeah, and then just didn't do it. It's not that crazy. It's not that hard. Yeah. So. And otherwise evac wouldn't matter, right? Like it is the purpose of evac. But even then, like, why put the spell in there that only does this one thing that you could just get around without it?
Yeah, with better design. Yeah. So we're just poking around, right? We have the ship, and we head to the southern continent. Maybe somebody said, "Oh, I heard that there's this wonderful thing. Maybe you could go check it out. I'm here. I got
staring at a wall.
I've got to sort these Skittles according to color and size. So we go to Riverton. This is a town that is split on two sides across this river. The people talk about this huge statue that's south of town. One of them swears that they saw the statue come to life and walk across the lake.
Yeah, that's cool. A guy near the armor shop offers to let us use his airship, but he needs a gas that is lighter than air to make it work, which makes it sound like he doesn't have an airship.
No. Makes it sound like he has a shitty car.
Yeah, he has a car with a sack connected to it. So a priest in a hut near the foot of the statue, when you go to the statue, says that the statue, the Colossus, catches the tears that fall from its eyes.
Yeah.
And so we do this dungeon in the Colossus, this theme dungeon where you're climbing up inside the statue body, kind of, again, a precursor of Final Fantasy IV, going through the gigantic android body there. It's a little bit confusing, but it does map onto the body, giving it credit by inches for having a reason for its layout as opposed to a maze.
Yes. Lots of up and down, going from the chest to the abdomen, etc. The way forward, that priest's hint is you have to jump out of the statue's eyes and onto its hand in order to get into the path that leads you to the control room, where you pull the lever and then it walks. It walks 2 map tiles south, so you can be on the side with Diabolic Hall.
Yes, this is a big castle. We can use the Mod Rod to turn our party into monsters so we can talk to the other monsters and not get into encounters. Good. We learn about a planned revolt against Sorrow being led by somebody named Amon. So we reach the conference room where Sorrow's meeting is being held.
I love that it's a conference room, and everybody's like, "Hey, you're gonna be late."
Yeah, for the conference room. Yeah,
you don't sit there. That's Janice's seat. Sit next to me.
Yeah, and Sorrow lays it out. He says the humans have unearthed Estark, the emperor of the monsters and lord of the underworld, by digging too deep at the Mammon mine.
Yeah.
So he sends monsters out to find Estark and guide him to Diabolic Hall so he can join their forces.
Yeah.
There.
So we got to go stop this from happening because the Dark Lord is about to awaken, which everybody has been foreseeing.
And Sorrow doesn't want this. Sorrow does want to kill all the humans, but he doesn't want this.
Right.
So we go to Estark's crypt. This is a big complex at the bottom of Mammon's mine. Lots of mimics. So it looks like it's a big treasure trove, but it's all mimics.
Yeah.
And a pretty big dungeon.
Yeah, big dungeon, lots of HP sponge enemies, throwing king cure slimes at you, which will just keep anything that they are alongside alive forever. And also love to heal themselves.
Yep. So they keep themselves alive as well. Very frustrating. Estark lies at the end. This is a big demon. And it's a long fight. Fight lasts for a long time. And it's tough. Like sometimes you can act 3 times per round.
Yeah.
It's inconsistent. This is how you have to deal with turn economy. If you're going to have multiple enemies fighting one thing.
Yeah.
They have to get more than one action around or fight everyone with one move. Those are the only options. The inconsistency of it, I wish it was a little bit more consistent. You know, it's weird that it happens sometimes. It makes it hard to predict.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we defeat him. Takes a while, but we do. And Sorrow rushes in, outraged. You know, he had thought that the hero was dead, but it was alive. And Estark is
just
dead.
my girlfriend.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh shit, my parents.
Joke's on you.
It was my cool magical shape-shifting girlfriend that is need not be talked about anymore further.
Yep. Oh gosh. He's about to attack us when someone rushes in to say, "Hey, the humans got your girl." Rose is gone. And so he leaves to go deal with that.
Yep. We find a gas canister on our way out of the dungeon. In a chest that was formerly guarded by an eternal flame. So we have the gas canister. And when we go to Rose Hill, Rose is gone.
Yeah. So with this gas canister, we're able to go to Riverton and give that to the inventor who uses it to fill up his hot air balloon. And now we have an airship.
Yep. Good. He gives you the first one for helping him out.
Yep. It's a sample.
Yeah, it's a sample airship.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for this prototype death machine.
Yeah, thank you, Costco. So the only place in the world that is marked by that treasure map that we found is El Ferrado at the base of a big tree.
Yes.
We head there, and the elves say that you can only climb, the world tree, Yggdrasil, if you're in a party of 3.
Yeah.
Seems arbitrary, Yggdrasil.
Uh-huh. Little particular you're being, huh?
Yeah, world tree.
Yeah. And this is that dungeon where they were very pleased with themselves for creating a lot of variety by having one of them themed like a tree.
Yeah, one of them has a different tile set.
Yeah.
So they're, it's just a dungeon. Do climbing up the trunk, but it's wood textures.
Yes.
So prepare yourself. You're going around on the limbs when progress is blocked to go around. You eventually get near the top and you find somebody begging for help. This is Aura Fielda, a Zenithian who came down to pick Yggdrasil leaves, and monsters attacked her, and she broke her wing.
Yeah. There. So she cannot fly up to Zenithia again. She's got to take the stairs, take the coward's path. Yeah.
Yes. And she joins the party to help us in order to get the Zenithian sword so we can gain entry.
Which is on the same screen. It's just you walk around a corner and then there it is.
Are you a bad enough dude to pick up this thing? To pick up this key?
The final trial.
Yep. Very funny. You do so, you get the tree and we're done. The stairway is in the center of the world. So we have to head there.
Yeah. And this is weird. You fly to this small island at the center of the world, and when you land on it, it becomes its own map.
Yeah.
Like it's a continent of its own.
Yes.
Yeah, which it just has all of like the plot dungeons that you have to go to. I made a note of this encounter not just because of the enemy type and the name, the Juju Guru, which is the racist caricature that it's the racist caricature that Toriyama likes to draw sometimes.
He's way into a specific kind of
like Tintin ass like depiction of a black person.
Whatever the name is, that doll.
Oh, I don't know.
It's got a name. I can't remember. It's a racist doll.
Yeah,
and Toriyama loves it. He puts it in everything. It's his trademark.
Yeah,
if it's not
Mr.
an old man sniffing panties, it's this.
Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball is what that is. Yeah.
And at least he's consistent. He will never do a work without this thing. It is vitamins to him.
Yeah. But you fight, the reason this is frustrating is you fight a bunch of them and they will revive each other. They use Yggdrasil leaves to revive each other. So like you've got to kill them all at the same time, basically.
Yes. Yeah. And it's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
There's a town in the center, Azimuth, which claims to be the closest to both Zenithia and Nadiria. Zenith and Nadir. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The leader had heard the prophecy of your coming, but now that you're here, the goddess is silent. Dun, dun, dun.
Kind of off the map as it goes.
Yeah. Yes. I wish I could hear what she was playing.
So there are only like 3 places to go here. There's a shrine nearby that you can go visit. There are no encounters here. This is just teaching you like, hey, do the elevator trick where you send an elevator down and then climb over top of it to get where you need to go.
Yep.
This is not strictly necessary, but it does give you something to use in the final battle. You get the Baron's Horn, which will allow you to summon the wagon before the final battle when you're down in Nadiria. And you also get the Goddess Ring.
Yeah. And the horn is useful because you can switch out characters.
Yes.
In this final version. There's also the Stairway to Zenithia. You can't play it in Guitar Center. No stairway. There is a tower at the south. Denied. At the south of the central continent here. And there are tons of floors to this. You end up going in circles like a lot on your way up. And there are a lot of very difficult encounters at a very high encounter rate.
Yeah.
Everybody revives. Everybody calls for backup. At this point, the little cheat that I was using, like previous to this, my method for going through this and maintaining my sanity was to set my XP to double and then use a level guide for where I'd go. So I'd grind a little bit to get to the level and then just go do the next plot thing when the guide said I was at the right level. Here is when I put my XP at times 64. Which is where it maxed out because fuck this. I didn't want to grind, which is what you would need to do to get through this in a reasonable.
Yeah, and we should say like everything from this, like from the Azimuth through to the end, there's no towns. Like there's only like one save spot that you get when you get down to Nadiria. Like, Final Fantasy 3 had that big long dungeon that you had to do with no save spots. We're in that kind of zone.
Yes. Yeah. It is made to be emulated.
Yes.
Here to obviate some of the design shit that it does. One of the things I think about a lot with console RPGs is how final escalations tend to be a problem. I'm trying to think of ones that have good last zones where I don't want to just run away from everything. And it's pretty rare. Like the music and atmosphere of the moon is really cool in Final Fantasy IV, but I don't like getting into those fights.
I like those fights. Yeah.
In the end fights in the moon. I do not like those fights. And I think about Final Fantasy VII going through and just having everything be like, the reward is meaningless at this point. I'm at a good level to beat the game, and it coupled like the added intention with the added encounter rate after I'm no longer getting anything for it.
Yeah.
That is meaningful feels bad to me.
I mean, it feels bad that the things that you are fighting are just scaled up versions of things that you fought before. Like at the very least, when you get to those boss fights, when you get to basically every encounter in the moon is a mini boss fight in Final Fantasy IV.
There's just so many of them, I guess, is the thing. Like doing mini bosses at the same frequency of random encounters. And what can you do other than make a mini boss, right? Like what in these systems, what is your pathway for escalation?
Yeah.
I don't know how else in the bounding box of this genre you make things hard. Like, yeah. So it's a thing that I don't think is a new problem to the end of the game, but it's exacerbated at the end of the game because like this rigor that I wanted the whole time doesn't work with the frequency.
Right.
You need all of it. You need to lower the frequency and increase the rigor. If you just do one or the other, it doesn't work. And that's what happens at the end of the game.
Yes.
I guess
no argument there.
Yeah.
There's no boss here. You are just dealing with enemies that will revive a lot and call for backup a lot. These fights last for fucking ever. Especially when they are in groups. And you cannot focus on which one you're going to kill. Like they're just going to keep on, there's very little control over it.
It's not a very interesting way to design enemies, I don't think. Once you get to the end, you get to the top, you hop on a cloud, and we're going to go to Zenithia.
Yes. Ophelia, she leaves right as we arrive. I took her out of my party right away because she was useless.
Yeah.
Not occasionally firing off like a weak cure, not filling a particular niche very well. But we're up in heaven. Like we're in this big floating castle in the sky. And we're talking to people. And one of them, this very sad woman in a bedroom, she talks about, once there was a Zenithian who descended to Earth and had a child with a woodcutter, but then they tore her away from him. And now whenever she thinks of him, she cries. Oh no, I'm crying right now. Hey, this is your mom.
Yeah, listen. Is there a Zenithian among us who hasn't gone down to Earth to get some woodcutter trim? Like it is whomst among us.
I'm not judging.
Would not go down and ride a lumberjack to get super preg. With a hero, it's very funny that just like, oh, here's your mom, and
it's not commented on.
The silent protagonist thing. How could there's no commenting? It's not commenting on because comments are impossible.
A suggestion box would work a lot better if you cut a hole in the top of it.
It's very that. I sometimes I get mad at people I make up. Like I think nobody should do that, but I'm not free of sin. And just imagining the person who read this and cried and getting frustrated. Like, there's no reaction. Nothing happens. You have to bring so much of yourself to have that touch your heart. It's just crazy.
It's just, and also like, it's a very boring kind of story. Like, oh, you're special by birth kind of deal.
Yes. Yeah. It's prophecy stuff.
One hero born of a dragon, etc.
Yes, it makes me wonder. I don't think if what would happen if you could backtrack and talk to the woodcutter and be like, hey, I met mom, like if that would actually have some commentary, if that were possible.
I went to the tearjerker page on the Dragon Quest IV wiki or the TV tropes. It's there.
It's of course it is. Of course it is. Just fainting ghosts will cry at nothing. I mean, I also I'll admit I'm a little bit an outlier. Like media has a tough time with me. I actually had, it never happens, but I had a recent tear up at media, and it was Guillermo's family in an episode of What We Do in the Shadows.
Okay,
being so sweet, and it just made me very sad that you don't have a family. And something like that sometimes will happen. It's not going to be this though. It's not going to be like, oh no, it was me. Why am I crying? It must be me.
It's delivered in all of the cadence of a joke too. There's like an intentional dramatic irony to it that it's very hard to take it seriously. It feels like they're not aiming for pathos with it. It's just it's funny because of the subject matter more than anything.
Yes. But there's a mindset that will troll for pathos. Anywhere, So we find Ophelia, who gives us a Sparky, her pet dragon. Here.
Yeah.
And as we're talking to this Zenith dragon, a huge beam of darkness shoots up through the clouds from Nadiria. Sorrow is making the move.
Yeah. And so the Zenith dragon, this big god dragon, gives a ton of XP to us, saying like, hey, you look like you could use a little bit of gas money here. And says like, hey, go through this hole in the clouds to get to Nadiria, go to hell.
Yeah. I know that I'm beating a lot of drums. I'm just going to say it though. This and the King in the Ragnar chapter, there being quest XP in this makes me wish that they had used that system a lot more.
Yep.
Like how would this game or these genres feel if instead of grinding, you just got quest XP?
Yep.
For stuff like you accomplish a goal. I think it's a cool idea, and it's amazing no one's ever experimented with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to Nadiria. We got to go to the doorway to Nadiria first, after the vestibule to Nadiria, the hallway to Nadiria, and the lawn to Nadiria. Mm-hmm. This is a straightforward dungeon, compared to the stairway that we went through. The stairway to Zenithia. Just a series of kind of descending caves we go through.
Yeah.
And we emerge in an underworld map. And there's a shrine to the south called Heaven's Haven.
Right.
We
go down there, and this is going to be our home base. We approach, and there's this Zenithian who appears in a hologram and says, all right, so that big castle at the center, there are 4 barriers that are stopping your approach to Sorrow's Keep. We need to break all of those barriers by visiting these shrines around the underworld. This is where we can save, and we will also be healed when we come back here. So there's going to be a lot of walking back and forth to save and be re-healed, because again, there are no towns, there's no resupply.
Your equipment that you use is fine on site.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to the 4 shrines here in order and walk back and forth and such. The first one, Prusless, a big asylum demon kind of guy we had to fight here. Mm-hmm. He debuffs the entire party with sap. That's no good. He doesn't have any hit all spells, but he does 2 attacks with his club, and we got debuffed, so it will take longer.
This is like, at least they have concepts. They have saved the concepts for this big boss rush at the end. This is not terrible. So like Barbatos, who's this ramhorn demon, has a ton of HP, and his gimmick is he'll cause all party fear. It'd be great if there was a way to address that rather than just it's a roll of the dice. Take a lap.
Wait. Yeah. But I'm glad there are concepts here too. I think that the idea of like go do the 4 shrines would feel very fresh if the game wasn't a series of like just go to do the task. It's the scavenger hunt. We've just been on a scavenger hunt, so replacing it with another one doesn't feel that different. The third one is Aemon. He claims responsibility for kidnapping Rose and pushing Sorrow over the edge. He was attempting a coup.
Yes.
He comes with these 3 tongue goblins. And he likes to keep reflect up so you can't cast spells on him. So he's the magic resistant guy.
This is the toughest one to me. Just because of the ads at the start, he hits really hard, and that reflect is
I'm pretty reliant on magic at this point.
Same
as well.
And the final one, at least you can do these in any order, but the final one that I have here is the Rashavarox. I think is what that is. These are there are 3 of them. There are 3 winged dinosaurs, and it's an easy fight, but it is Throne Watcher, Throne Defender rolls, where if you kill any of them, if you kill one of them and wait long enough, the others will revive the one that just got killed. So you just have to kind of like whittle them down.
Keep kind of a mental tally of roughly where they're at. After this, we can go to Castle Nadiria, which is this very long navigation puzzle. Lots of elevators we're sending up and down in order to get around gaps in it. It takes a long time, but there's not a whole lot to say about it until you eventually get to Sorrow's Peak.
Right. Where you get out the back door of the castle, and we're on the world map. This is where we can use the Baron's Bugle to summon that wagon for the final fight if you want to swap anybody around. But then you go up to the peak, where Sorrow is no longer a Sephiroth. Like, he has instead turned himself into a much bigger demon lord. He looks like a bigger version of Estark, who we fought back in Mammon Mine. But he happens to be golden, and he has appointed himself as the master of monster kind.
He's used the G virus. He's evolved himself. into a mega monster. He doesn't remember anything about his past. He just knows he has to destroy mankind. So he's remembers his purpose. And we do a very long fight with him. He doesn't do anything really interesting until the end. It's just a boss fight, you know. But as you fight, he starts losing limbs in his head, and he kind of transforms as this goes on and grows into his final forms. It is phantasmagorically cool looking for a game from 1992 or 1990 rather. You know, that is cool
to have it transform. And this is something that Toriyama is really good at doing. Toriyama's good at doing a lot of stuff. Regrettably, he also does those racial caricatures. But like the upgraded, transformed version of monsters that that he can do, he's good at like saying, "What if a guy?" But then like, "What if like a more badass of a guy?" Kind of thing. Yeah.
The biggest Toriyama thing that I like, because I'm not a Dragon Ball guy. The character designs don't do tons for me. You know, the humans, the monsters look cool.
Oh yeah.
But my favorite thing that went around for a while on Twitter were vehicles.
Oh yeah.
He had drawn like the puffy fat vehicles. It's like a vehicle version of that one artist, that Bolo. I can't remember his name. You know, the guy who just draws the big roundies. It's like vehicles like that. I think they look so cool. Yeah. Him drawing machinery is my favorite thing.
Oh yeah.
A Toriyama mech game would be like, I might think it looks cool. And I don't like mechs. So yeah, it's cool that he does this. He's in his final form here, where he gets debuffs, he dispels, he gets multi-action rounds, he casts reflect on himself. He's much tougher.
Yes. Yeah. It just takes forever to get him to this point. to get him to the point where like the damage that you do actually matters.
Yes. Yeah. And as you do this damage, he eventually dies. He reverts to human form. And then fades away. The underworld kind of rumbles here, and the Zenith Dragon rescues us from dying in the mines.
There's some man, I hate how much you have to bring to this, but like that detail of him not remembering who he is, but just knowing that he has to kill, like that is good and, you know, sad. You know, like that, like I think that's a good concept or whatever, if they had any interest in exploring that. It's kind of, you just have to bring so much of it so much of it yourself, right?
So like if it didn't come through in the conversation, the reason why Saro wanted to get revenge on people in the first place was because of his girlfriend being abused. And he wants to get, you know, that's what humans do. So he wants to kill all the humans.
Yes.
And once the humans actually kidnapped his girlfriends, he took the final evolution thing and decided to go full monster pill.
And
he
lost
doesn't
himself.
remember. He doesn't remember his girlfriend. He just remembers the vengeance. There's something there. Like I'll give that credit for that. It's a little bit, to me, you know, I always like somebody who becomes a monster man, but only remembers like a grotesque parody of what they wanted before. I think that's a cool trope. It's a little undercut to me by the fact that he wanted to destroy humanity before that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It doesn't feel like an escalation.
Yeah.
You know, if I were going to do it, like this is a very Gary thing to say. I would have liked it more like a Magneto thing where he just wanted to be left alone in his monster town and humans kept pushing it. Not he ever wanted to get vengeance on humanity. And then you wouldn't have the Dark Lord rising and all of this stuff. Like it would mess up the first half of the game.
Yeah.
But it would be a better story for Sorrow, as is, like, you do have to squint to make it a good version of it. But it is, you know, when a lot of the things I've had to hand it to for this game are one step, like that's two steps. You know, it's a step.
Yeah.
You know, and compare it to later games, even in franchises I like more, like compare his motivation with fucking like X Death.
Yeah.
You know, like we're still in better territory than that here. So that is cool. It doesn't excuse like the mechanical issues with this game to me.
Oh
but
God, no.
In terms
I was not
even
claiming that. Yeah.
No. I wasn't. Yeah. I was just clarifying that it is, you know, I'll give it credit where it's due. Right. And part of the tragedy to me of console RPGs is you can't get the good without the bad.
Yeah.
You know, they're always a match set. 100 times out of 100. Like I would love to play a game that had that story that explored this kind of character without the bad parts of this that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I don't want to dig through a bowl of shit to get the M&M.
No,
you know?
no. And we're going to find out more in that Dragon Quest Monsters that's coming out. Sorry, I am like
you're very sorrow pilled right now.
I'm very sorry. Like
you're Metal Gear 3.
It's no, I'm not actually like that excited to play it. It doesn't look very good to me. I'm not looking for another Pokemon alike or whatever. It's just I'm kind of wrapped around the axle on it because like how is it that we're getting like a prequel to this game?
Yeah.
like this far afterward. Yeah.
It's because
that is still an open question. Yeah.
It's the same, whatever the thing is that makes this a tearjerker for some people. Like it ends up moving into final thoughts on accident, and we're not quite done. But there's something people get from the story of these games that I don't get. That makes them, that engenders tons of affection. Right.
Yeah.
I've been reading that Bitmap Books JRPG book. You know, and it's interesting, but what's really interesting to me is how many of them are just summaries of plots.
Yeah.
Like there's not, you know, my big issue with this whole genre is there's not a lot of mechanical variation or evolution. And I stand by that, but to fans of it, that doesn't matter.
Right.
They are playing for the plot. And then the plot is this, you know, and I'm like, what do you have that is making you love this so much that from both the fandom and the creators are like, this is it's very driving crooner to me. Yeah. Like, this is so good, I have to do something with this. And then I look and there's like fan art of Sorrow and there's fan art of his lieutenants and like people fucking love this. Yeah. And I don't know what they're getting out of it. Like, I don't, we were just recounted the story. We went through the story. What is there? You know, I just, there's a couple little neat touches that we called up. Like, I like the guy hustling you know, in the end thing, like, that's cool. That's a cool little bit. It's not enough though. It doesn't, you can't hang on to it.
Yeah. You know, but the somehow it is so much like this form is so important that anything that deviates from it in any way is immediately expunged. It is to be rejected. It is to be violently so. Yeah.
We cannot countenance evolution in this genre. Yeah. The only way this genre has moved forward is to change into another genre.
Yeah.
Right. Like, every once in a while there will be, it's even fascinating that like when they stumble upon something that's neat, nothing becomes a standard. Right. Like a Final Fantasy game will, like Final Fantasy 2, which is not a good game. Right. Has a keyword system for dialogue. They were trying to engage the part of adventuring that is like almost like detective work, like investigation there. It's the only fucking entry that has it. It's so weird, this refusal to ever learn.
Yeah.
You know, or just like there's an assumption that everything doesn't work, so you always have to be trying new things. You know, I don't know what's going on. It's really weird. And in the absence of that, it's the stories that are left. And these are the stories.
Yes.
You know, there are better stories than this one. This is not, you know, an exemplar or anything. But my point is, this one is, to enough people, is good enough to engender excitement for a prequel to it, both from a fandom perspective and from the developers. Yeah. And I have no idea what they're seeing in it. It makes me feel fucking crazy. Like, I get this last sane person on Earth feeling from this so intensely. Yeah. You know, it makes you want to experiment with like what a console RPG would look like if it took these bits, these innovations that come through, you know, things like group XP and Earthbound rolling HP counters and the way that handles random, no random encounters, every monster on the field. Take all of these things and put them together, what that would be like. Yeah. As opposed to like, it's almost like you're building an army in Warhammer and you have build points and like you get to choose 3. Timed, an action, like a timed button press during the battles. Like, there's so many little things you can do to make these better, and no game wants to engage with very many of them. No, because they're very focused on these stories. And then, like, I don't know, man, I played like half of Bravely Default. That story is dog shit. These stories are not good. They're not worth it. Yeah. I really don't know what people are doing.
Just thinking about playing these things entirely for the story, it's like, I don't know, just maybe there would be a little bit more honor in just reading a visual novel.
Absolutely.
Like, just admit what you're looking for, which is a different way to read a comic.
Yeah, not going to be this guy, but like also a book. Yeah, or a TV show or a movie. Yeah. At this point, while solving a Rubik's Cube or like while flipping a coin.
And we're getting into something which is like, I don't think that people who say they like this are pretending that they like it. I do not want to inadvertently say that like everybody's preference is a prank on me.
No, I'm not being gang stalked. Yeah. by this fandom of millions of people. Yeah. I'm saying that I can go through the same thing that they're going through. Yeah. And honestly not get it. And it's stronger than, like, there are things that I don't like. It's stronger than just not liking it. Like, there are things I don't like, and like, that's not for me, you know? But I get it. Like, it makes sense. This seems like there's good design here, you know? Like, my perennial example of that is always like Rocket League, but you can do that with anything, like Counter-Strike. You can do it with any number of these things where, like, oh, there are canny design choices in this that are being made that I can admire from a craft perspective.
Yeah.
There aren't in this. And so if it's not that, if it's not the play, the thing I always also fall back on is presentation. I think that, like, a lot of people are just very into visuals and music of this. There's a YouTuber called Thor High Heels who said one of the most perplexing things that I've ever heard in my life was they stopped playing a game and then later saw a screenshot of a wintry village in it and then had to play through the game because they had to go to that village. And I could not. And then later in that video, they say, the main thing I get from video games is the visuals and music, which I get from trailers. So if I see a trailer, I know if I'm going to like a game. And I've never felt more alienated from somebody who ostensibly enjoys the same hobby I do.
Yeah.
You know, like, what a mindset, you know. And they like other stuff too. Like, I like their work. They also they focus on weird, you know, Japanese games. So there's a lot of like Disaster Report and stuff like that. Michigan Escape from Hell that I agree are interesting. But then there'll be things like this where it's just like, I just want to see these images and hear this music. And it's such a small ask. Like, I just want to grab people by the lapels and say, like, demand more from your entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, you can have more than that. You know,
I'm trying to find a nicer way to say we should dissect this person.
Yes. Yeah. It makes me frustrated when, like, you know, so like I will watch a superhero movie and everyone on Twitter in the world is like, oh, you just like having keys jingled in front of you. What is having keys jingled in front of you but looking at images of villages and listening to music?
Yeah.
Like, how key-like is that? You know, it's not flashy, but it is just a very shallow carb.
Yeah.
You know, man.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like it's been like a riddle I've been trying to solve.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I don't know. And I understand this is not the exemplar of the genre. I think the thing, though, that is noteworthy to me is that a lot of the things that we've said about this are also true of much more modern games.
Yeah.
There are ways that ameliorate it from time to time, but there are a lot of boss fights that in, say, something like Final Fantasy VII that are designed basically the same way.
Yeah.
Like, there's a guy, he's got his hook is he has a lot of hit points, so he'll take a long time to kill. You know,
there
that's
you go.
That's the joke.
And then, and go back to, you know, us talking about, like, any change, any deviation, no matter how minor, is enough for it to be expelled from the canon, you know, to become, you know, the impetus for a consumer revolt. Right.
It's so weird because everyone loves Earthbound, but nobody wants anything else to be like Earthbound.
Yeah.
You know, except for like indie creators. But, like, you know, it had, I mean, I guess it was a cult hit. It didn't work that well. That is also insane. You know, like, that didn't sell really well. This game that tried to do different stuff, you know, it got ejected. It just, it makes my hairs on my neck stand up. Like, where?
So
you get rescued.
You get rescued by this big old dragon.
Dragon comes and does it.
Yeah, takes us back up to heaven, says, hey, you did a real good job with that. And your reward is, hero, you get to live up in Zenithia forever. Ha-ha.
Yeah. And you say, no, I'd rather live with my friends than my mom. My last remaining family member. This whole ending is a real fuck you to your biological mother.
Yeah.
In a plot that is a fuck you to your adopted parents and your girlfriend as well, and your father.
Yeah. So that's the end. You get the credits rolling as the balloon, you know, returns everybody to their home. You know, we see that Rose gets a proper burial, and then the hero goes back to his hometown and uses his powers to clear the blight and resurrect Eliza. What were you waiting for, dude?
I love that's so funny. Also, fuck you to my adopted parents.
Yeah,
like the idea, the point of the end of this, the message I think is that adopted children are not your real children.
They don't count.
Is probably the main point of this game. If I had to choose a theme.
Which seems like, why would you go so hard against adopted kids? But it's hard for me to say. I don't know.
Who can say? Who can say?
But also, so you spend all this time watching the balloon drop everybody off, and then after the girlfriend comes back, everybody just joins you at your town anyway. Why did I drop you off? Did you
it's because they had to grind on the way. They had to. They needed to. Like, you spent the whole time backtracking, and you're paying it forward in a cycle of violence. Like, you backtracked to my town now. I wouldn't visit all your fucking hometowns. Yeah. So you have the labyrinth ending, the big party with all of your friends from the journey.
Yeah.
There's a chapter 6 to this that's optional content, challenge content that gives you a happy ending for Rose. That you can get things like that.
Yeah, the Sorrow will join your party, and you go after Eamon, to actually get Rose back, giving a little bit of redemption. Like, we can't just have Sorrow die as a tragic figure, marred by his own quest for vengeance.
Gotta have a happy ending.
Needs to come back. So didn't do that. I felt that I had my fill.
Yes. Yeah. Liv was asking me last night, we were talking about Pokemon stuff.
Okay.
And she was like, why isn't there a Pokemon game where I can play as Team Rocket? And I'm like, because they would never do anything like that, because the children have to have good stuff and things have to be happy.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of tenor.
Nope.
Like that kind of like perverse joy you can take in even an ounce of crapulence is not demonstrative of a value they're trying to instill, which is good things are nice and happiness is fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a thing where, like, for the genre, it's fine. For the time, it's impressive. It does a couple of things that are pretty neat. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
And I have nobody to blame for myself, because I chose this as the game for this. So I'm not putting that blame on anybody.
Yeah.
It's just it is frustrating.
We dipped our toe into an NES console RPG, which we hadn't done
and
before.
A Dragon Quest RPG, which is basically stands in for every Dragon Quest. Like, there will be those little neat things. There will be other little minor variations. But the core will never change. It is non-negotiable that you will fight thousands of meaningless battles that are not hard.
Yeah.
And don't require you. So disappointing. To me, this has been a real mid-month for me, man. I'm enjoying Lisa more out of the games we're doing this month. That's next. If you have things to say about Dragon Quest IV, by the time this comes out,
it's already too late. Yeah.
Yes. But the things we are going to be reading about are going to be Mystical Ninja 64, Dragon Quest IV, and Lisa the Painful RPG, which is my favorite of the things we're doing this month. I have some issues with it, but it is better. But if you have things to say about next month's games, which are Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, Pokemon trading card game for the Game Boy Color, or Doom Eternal, you can write in by September 15th at Duckfeed.tv/contact.
Yeah, use the button there. If you have thoughts about multiple games, please write them in as multiple responses.
Yes.
Also, Pokemon trading card game that was just added to Switch Online. If you're looking for the easiest possible way to play that,
the WAF effect strikes again.
I love it.
I said this when we first announced it. I think I said it to you, but I'm going to do this as a public service. If you're joining us for this, my number one pro tip for the Pokemon trading card game is create a save state at the beginning of every battle. You're not cheating. There's no penalty for losing. You're just adding a concede function.
Yes.
Because as the game is, you will end up in I am sitting in a bathtub waiting for it to drain moments a lot, especially in the early game. You want to be able to bail on those, and please value your time.
Yes.
And stop those. If you have a project, if you're a non-straight, non-cis, non-white, non-man, and you have a project you'd like us to highlight, please send me an email at Gary@Duckfeed.tv. Please include pronouns and pronunciation. I'm not good at that. And I would be happy to highlight it. We don't have anything this week, so the line is short. Don't be shy. And if you know somebody who might benefit from this, tell them. Please do not submit on their behalf.
Please. Yeah. If you would like to hear the full versions of the premium episodes, those will be Lisa the Painful RPG and Doom Eternal. You can back us on Patreon, patreon.com/DuckFeedTV. You get those full episodes, the whole back catalog of them, and whole other bonus shows. And it helps support the network and lets us do the show.
Yeah, when we say bonus shows, we mean a lot of shit. You're getting Unfilmable, which we do once a month, but we've done a lot of them now, so you have a lot of backlog. The entirety of Bonfireside Chat, and then bonus Abject Sufferings.
Yes.
$10 a month gets you further up. You get Quack Stack and Adaptation Decay. Adaptation Decay, one of my favorite shows that we do. Yep. I think we're consistently providing lols on that show, and I don't just mean the mechanic from Wings.
Yeah.
So we'd appreciate that. You can also leave us ratings, reviews, subscriptions, things like that on whichever podcast directory you use.
Yeah.
That would be awesome, and it helps.
Yeah. And join us in thanking Gwen, our producer, who puts these episodes together and puts them out.
Cannot state how much we appreciate Gwen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And wish me luck as I get dental work done.
Hey.
Between next time you hear me.
You're getting your mouth did.
I'm getting my mouth did. It's a very scary thing for me.
Yeah.
It's high octane nightmare fuel. So please wish me well in that.
I do.
Well, thank you. And that's going to be it. What should they watch out for until next time?
Watch out for The Secret of Evolution.
Yes, it'll monster man you.
Doesn't seem good.